Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and I'm going to do a 2022 update on social media, getting started for dentists. And I'm not a social media expert at all. I'm just an orthodontist who happens to use a lot of social media to help build my brand and my business. And I am not formally trained in the least. I read a lot of books, a lot of blogs, a zillion YouTube tutorials, a lot of trial and error. So I'm going to tell you how I do it, how it's worked for me. But you can also go into my channel, my YouTube channel, which has well over to date 7,500 videos, I think. There's a fair amount just on leveraging YouTube, leveraging LinkedIn, leveraging Instagram. We're actually leveraging TikTok. We're actually show you how to go in and set it up. I mean, the best I could. I'm sure there's way better tutorials out there though on YouTube, but not so many posted by dentists. So I'm going to kind of just tell you which ones I'm using, and I'm not saying these are the ones that you should use because you need to think about your own demographics. Now, let's do two different scenarios. Scenario number one is you're a new startup, you have no followers already, you have no website, you have no social media. You may or may not have a team. You're getting started de novo. It will take time to build your social media. I mean, like once it starts building, I mean, you have to constantly add to it. You can't just do it and be done. It's like an every single day thing. So it will take an hour or two out of every single day, 365 days a year. If you really don't have the bandwidth for that, this could be something that can be delegated to an assistant or a front office, whoever is like the social media whiz in your practice, or it could be a group of people. I've worked in dental offices before where it was an actual position, one person did it. I've worked in offices before where it was 20 or 30%, or it was maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week for an assistant to work on. But then again, you have to delegate the time. This really takes time. You cannot pile this on to someone's existing job duties. It's not possible. So you're going to have to figure out who wants to do it. There's going to be somebody who would love to step away from front desk, step away from clinical for 20, 30, 40% of their week and help you grow this. But you obviously need to have KPIs, which is key performance indicators. My suggestion is that you find someone who is a social media expert who knows dentists. And there's a fair amount of people out there I can recommend. Some of them are highly shady that I've worked with. Some are good. They're not cheap, okay? And not everyone would be willing to help train your assistant and set up KPIs so that they could eventually do it on their own. I don't know that many people that are willing to do that. So, but that would be my recommendation, because what I realized is that I don't need someone all the time. After I initially did a few ads and some Google AdWords and things like that, and the foundation was set, I really wanted to make all my own content. I didn't want them to do content for me. It just didn't look like me. It didn't look like my brand, And my brand mostly is just me. But if you have an office, you have a brand too. And if you're really getting that much organic content, you're going to have to film it yourselves anyway. So you might as well just do it yourself, in my opinion, because otherwise it's not going to be organic because somebody's not going to be there. I mean, unless you're hiring someone locally that's going to come into your office once a week to create content, I don't think that's going to be cheap. But I mean, you got to figure out how you want to do it. You got to figure out if you have a budget. If you are doing it totally organically yourself, I mean, if you're doing a new startup and you're a young dentist, and you're gonna have the time to do this yourself. So I would just do it yourself, You can have a spouse help you out if they're good at it. If you have teenage kids, they can definitely help you out. I've had so many tips from my daughter. She is a social media whiz. She has so many followers, and she's only in junior high, but she totally understands the concept of brand awareness, sponsorship. She's already doing this herself, And I know when she goes off to college, she's an athlete too. She's gonna get so many endorsements and she's already getting people, if you wear my clothes, I'll give you free clothes. If you try on this outfit and talk about it, I will send you, another outfit. So no money taking place, but I mean, I probably shouldn't get her in trouble but in any case, I'm just letting you know there's a lot of teenagers that are already doing this and get this. So it could be something you could definitely hire a high school student or a college student to come in a few hours a week to help you out initially. That's just my suggestion. It would be really low cost. There's no reason you need to be paying for ads. I mean, a long time ago, like 6, 7, 8 years, even when I first got started, ads were way cheaper than they are now. They're just, in my opinion, overpriced. When they were novel and new and not everyone was doing them and there wasn't so many dentists on them, it was something different, right? It would pop up on your Facebook feed. You're like, wow, that's cool. But now it's everywhere. Everyone knows what an ad is and how it's different than regular, content that people put up, and people don't like it. So I think in some ways it kind of ruins your brand if it's an ad. That's just my opinion. And if you have good stuff and good content, people will subscribe to it, like it, and they'll get it without having to pay, the ridiculous prices. I mean, occasionally I do boost a post or do an ad. Very, 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 very rarely. Only when I really want something to get around. But okay, so let's kind of talk you through. So, I mean, I can't help you with setting up the KPIs and who does what. You're going to need to get somebody. That's a little tedious to set that up. And obviously you need to have someone who really wants to do it. And like I said, you need to give them the time to do it and pay them for the time they do it. And it could be something that they do from home easily, but that's up to you to trust them that it's going to get done. Okay, so let's set it aside. Here's what I did. So I'm going to assume you're just one dentist. Your practice is not established. It's a de novo practice. You need marketing and you're like, where do I start? I don't have $5,000 a month, $8,000 a month, $10,000 a month to pay someone to do this for me. I want to do it myself. Great. That's exactly what I did. So you got to figure out, first of all, which, like I said, demographics of your practice: inner city, rural, suburban. What do you think the ages are going to be of your target demographics? What is their social economic status? Like, what is it going to be all over the place? Is it going to be more lower income, mid income? Nothing wrong with any of that, but there's different types of social media that appeals to different types of people, in terms of ages, especially. Obviously the youngest patients, that, too young and they're not going to be paying their bills, right? So there's no point. But if you're trying to go for college grads, young adults who are paying their bills, maybe just getting out of college, looking for a dentist. That's the first people that you'd probably want to market towards. That's going to be obviously TikTok, Instagram, and Be Real, but I don't think you can advertise on Be Real yet. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. So, and I don't do Snapchat. That's not the demographic I want. My demographic for what I do is I'm an orthodontic consultant. I mostly cater to dentists, general and pediatric dentists who are 30 to 45. So my demographic is different. Obviously, I did have a TikTok account just to have fun with it, but I don't do that. No Snapchat. I do Be Real for fun. That's just for me. Lot of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. The most profitable by far has been YouTube and Instagram. Facebook's going to be older patients, like 40s and up. Instagram is going to be 20 through 40 for the most part. Also younger, but in terms of the ones you're going after. YouTube, under 40 for the most part. If you don't already know this, people under the age of 30 often are going to YouTube and Instagram to search. Whereas I use Google, they use Instagram and YouTube to find a dentist. Find me a dentist near me, or dentist, Topeka, Kansas. That's what they do. Wow, I use Google. I would never have thought that. If you didn't know that, if you're not really present on these social media channels, no one's going to find you there, right? So you need them to start finding you. So obviously setting up the accounts are free. You need to put in all your contact information, set it up. I have, if you go into my YouTube channel, like I said, search by keyword, you can find how to set up. And it might have changed since I made the demo. So, I'm sure that's not hard. It's really easy to Google on YouTube to look up on YouTube how to set something up, just follow along. Okay, so now it's set up. Now what do you do? Well, now you need to post regularly. And initially, to be honest, it's tricky because, say, Instagram, you're going to have followers, right? You don't want to be paying for followers because paid followers are junk followers. They just make you look cool. It will take a while for you to get followers. Obviously you need to link your website, your email, your Instagram handle needs to be everywhere you are, business cards, emails, any place a patient will see things, they will like, oh, I didn't know this doctor's on Instagram. Anytime I go to a doctor's office, I look them up and see if they're on Instagram. That's the first thing I do. And then before I even make the appointment, if they're not, that's not a problem, but I like to get an idea of what they're like. Sometimes I don't like what I see and then I don't go to that doctor. So, or any type of professional, lawyers, anything like that. So, even though I might be in my 40s, I still use Instagram to search people. So yeah, it's going to take time. So it goes both ways. You know, you're going to want to get to know people and they're going to want to get to know you. Obviously, you need to start making content. Instagram is highly visual. So this is a great place for you to post your patients. You know, obviously you need to have a social media release on any patients that you post. You can block out eyes, you can talk about their treatment, you can show befores and afters. I mean, it needs to be good quality. If you're not good with graphics or using Canva, then I recommend, if there's someone in your practice that knows how to do it, great. You're going to save some money. If not, what I've always done, because that's not something I really enjoy doing, I like to talk, as you can tell. And you can tell I did this one myself. This is clearly not Canva. But sometimes, most of the time, I'll hire someone off Fiverr. Fiverr is like Upwork, which is a social media site where you can connect with people to do projects for you. It is, you know, it's a legal way to pay people, obviously, and you will get a receipt. So, I mean, it's all legal. And, you know, it's tax deductible because it's marketing budget. So, like I said, someone can do it themselves. My daughter knows how to use Canva. She's done some stuff for me. But you can definitely, I mean, most of I've found some good people now to do infographics. It's usually only $5 plus tax and a service fee. So it ends up being like $7 per infographic, which is not bad, considering they live on forever. But more complex one is going to be more like 10, 15, depending on how many data points. But anyways, it's reasonable, right? If you don't want to deal with making that yourself. And they get it back to you in a day or two. It's really fast. So definitely I would consider, I don't use Upwork, but I know it's out there. But I use Fiverr, and I've been using Fiverr for, goodness, 7, 8, 9 years for tons of, I use for every project, you know, whether it's blog editing, research, documents, I mean, data point entry, spreadsheets, I mean, anything that's tedious. I go ahead, nothing personal, but, you know, I punt it to people and I let people do it for me so that my time is better used on more productive things that actually involves my brain. So yeah, so that's Instagram, you know, lots of pictures. I like to talk about the 80-20 rule, which is 80% should be clinical, you know, and 20% should be fun to get to know you and your practice, you know. And there's so many good dentists on Instagram. You can just start looking up. You should start following dentists on Instagram. And a lot of dentists follow other dentists and see what they're doing to get ideas, you know. And like I talked about the KPIs, I mean, it can be something where, you know, you can give a little bonus at the end of the month to the team members who create content for you, be it videos, reels, you know, infographics, whatever. I mean, obviously people are going to get compensated for extra work. So definitely something that you could do. Or like I said, you can outsource it. You can use stock photos. If you're literally just getting started and you don't have any existing patients, then I recommend subscribing to something like Shutterstock, which is stock photo, where you can purchase photos. You know, they're about, there's bundles and stuff, but it comes out to maybe $10, $15 a photo. But anything I can think of, you know, I can, like this chick, and this was a dentist doing social media was my keyword, and it was a dentist. I mean, and she's holding a phone. So I was like, okay, this was a stock photo. This is not somebody I know, but I can legally make content around it, right? So, okay, so that's Instagram. You get the idea. And in terms of getting followers, it will organically come in, you know, as long as you are replying, getting to know people, using it everywhere, but that's going to be really slow. So my suggestion is that if you're in, say, I use Topeka, Kansas as an example. If you're in Topeka, then you start looking up businesses in Topeka, every single business that's near you, you know, or businesses you like, and start looking them up, liking them, find out who likes them, who's following them. I'm saying liking, it's following, and connect with them. And don't hassle them. That's the worst thing, is when, you know, I'll like a dentist or I'll follow a dentist on Instagram and then they start being, you know, very aggressive. Come into our office. I mean, you can definitely message them, say, hey, thanks for following us. You know, if you ever have any dental questions, you know, or we do virtual consults, they're free. Here's a link, you know, there's all kind of things you could do. But yeah, I mean, in time, you'll grow it and they'll grow you, and it'll just start to snowball over time, especially if you're taking the time to get to know the people who are on there, engaging with them and having fun with it. But like I said, it's going to take 15, 20 minutes a day. Okay, so that's Instagram, boom. Next, YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know what YouTube's for. So YouTube's all about creating contents. Like I said, you can talk about you, talk about dentistry, talk about all the things you like to talk about. I mean, clearly you have a ton of knowledge. So the way I've always done it, I mean, when I first got started, so I use my YouTube videos to supplement my education, right? I mean, if it's marketing, that's great. I mean, I've definitely had a lot of subscribers and a lot of clients that have found me because they realize I'm on YouTube and they realize that I know what I'm talking about. So that's how they end up, you know, coming to me as a client. that's great. That's someone I didn't have to market for, right? Because this is free. And just to boot, added bonus, once you start to have X amount of followers or subscribers on YouTube and so many minutes of watch time, you can opt into monetization, which is, you'll get a couple cents per video that gets watched. It's not a lot. I mean, I'll be honest. How much do I get now? You can see what I have. $200 a month. I mean, it goes up every single month. It started at, I don't know, $100, a couple years ago, and it goes up. But hey, I mean, I say it buys my Starbucks each day. So it is nice to get that little direct deposit. Obviously, it's a 1099. You're gonna have to pay taxes on it, so it's not really that much. But I know dentists who are amazing, and I'm not gonna say who they are, who are getting thousands a month. But they put a lot of work into their content. It's pretty darn amazing. Clearly they're paying their staff, and their staff's spending a lot of time per week. So, I mean, it makes sense, but it's also, they're getting tons of patients that way. So it's a double bonus, right? So that is YouTube. And again, with YouTube, you have to post regularly. I post probably 3 or 4 times a week. I make content 3 or 4 times a week, as you can see in the dates. I don't obsess over it. It's just if somebody asks me a question and I realize I don't have a YouTube video about it, somebody asked me today, how did you start your social media? I was like, oh, I never really have a good video on that. Let me go ahead and tell you. So that's what YouTube's for. I mean, who knows? I mean, it might get bigger, it might not, it might die. So, but I mean, right now, it's a great way for people to find you, a great way to show brand awareness, exposure, everything like that. People to take a tour of your office. I mean, you can do everything from what's it like to be a patient here. Just watch all the other dentist videos that are on YouTube. There's so much out there. But remember, you have to have a release if you're going to show patients or patients' photos. You have to have a social media and photo release. Not all patients want to sign it. I do recommend you have it part of your new patient pack. A lot of patients will say no. My husband says he has it part of his packet, and almost every patient says no. Other doctors I've talked to said they have it part of their packet, and most patients say yes. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it is if you just shove it in the packet, and people will be like, no, I don't want to do that. But if you explain to them the why behind it, and just be like, hey, we really love, that's how we educate our patients. We think you'd be great. We'd really love to have you in some of our videos. They might be fine with it. Okay, that's YouTube. What's next? I said TikTok I don't really do. You obviously know TikTok is more dancey, singy stuff. It's a good way to have fun and to teach light things. But I mean, there's some dentists who are absolutely incredible and orthodontists that are in there. And they got started early and they have millions of followers. And I think now there's a way to get revenue from TikTok, but I'm not sure. Okay, Facebook. So what I do is the content I make, I don't even know what you call these. There are places, repositories, where you can put your content. As you can see, my content goes out fairly regularly. But what I do is I make content whenever I feel like making it, and then I load it up into a repository. The one I use is called Buffer. I think there's also Hootsuite. There's a few other ones where you just load it. I mean, it's almost like a hopper. You load all your content in there and it shuffles it. Yeah, it's like Spotify. And then it'll post it on a regular schedule. So mine posts 4 times a day on Instagram, 4 times a day on Facebook, 4 times a day on YouTube. It won't post like that, but I use my YouTube content to post. So you basically just moving stuff around. So I'll upload directly to YouTube, but then the YouTube I'll put in the repository, which is Buffer, and it'll shuffle it, and I can recycle it. So I can use stuff from years ago that people forgot they've seen, so it's not like I always have to make new content, even though I have 7,500 pieces of content. But pretty cool. You can shuffle it, recycle it, see what the analytics on things that are popular. I'm going to recycle things that aren't. I'm going to dump. So that's, I don't know, maybe $200 a year. I mean, it wasn't expensive. I mean, the bigger your repository, the more expensive it is. But that's Buffer. I started using that because, I'd be on vacation. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like dealing with this. So when I go on vacation or I'm traveling, I don't make content. Forget that. That's my break. I might go in my Instagram and answer content, and connect with people and talk to people and answer messages, but I don't make content like this or infographics. It's like a break. I only make it when I'm in my home office. Okay, so that's YouTube. So Facebook, just to answer the question, I don't make content directly for Facebook. I make content directly for Instagram. But the Instagram can be posted on Facebook, and YouTube can be posted on Facebook. LinkedIn, I do make some specific content for LinkedIn, but again, it's in the repository and it auto posts on my business LinkedIn and my personal LinkedIn. LinkedIn was actually one of my first major social medias for business, and I started that maybe 9 years ago. That's the best way to connect with dentists, professionals and also major companies, for me, it's major dental companies, orthodontic companies. I like to get to know the members, who they are. I like to see what's new, what's different. And it's just so cool because when I go to major dental meetings, I know so many people that are already there because I've been talking to on LinkedIn for years. It's like a friend that you've never actually met in person, and you have this whole network, of people that maybe you don't regularly see, but you're friends on LinkedIn, and every day you're on LinkedIn and talking to people. So that's pretty cool. And it's a great way to refer business for one another and everything like that. So that's LinkedIn. Again, free. Start your account, start to find people that you're interested in, start to follow people, you start to post, people will start to follow you if you're interesting and you have interesting things to say. Kind of like Twitter. I don't do Twitter because Twitter has no pictures and just words is not really something that would help me, X amount of words and then a limit to the words. But there's plenty of dentists that do and have a lot of followers on Twitter. So, who knows where Twitter's going with all that's going on with them. I just sold my stock, but anyways, that's Twitter. So, okay, what else did I say I was going to do? Instagram, Facebook, Facebook for me is like, It's more of a personal thing. And I keep my personal Facebook completely separate from my business Facebook. So if y'all try to friend me on personal Facebook, it's probably not going to happen unless you're like a really, really, really close friend of mine, a really, really close business colleague, and we've known each other in person for ages. I mean, you're going to see pictures of animals and my kids and swimming. You're gonna hear a lot about swimming and and sunsets and everything like that. So how I'm feeling, it's a little more personal. I only have less than 200 connections on Facebook, and it's all like friends in the past and family and stuff like that. So no, sorry. Nice to meet you, but I won't accept accept you on Facebook. So no offense, but you don't want to see all the stuff I post. Keep it professional. You got to be really, really careful. It's very, very private. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So, like I said, you can do this all pretty much totally free, especially if you're using Canva. You do not need to do ads. It's not necessary unless you want to get a crazy jump start, but it is not cheap. And do I think the ROI is worth it? No. And I have a lot of friends who are in dental marketing, and I think the ones that I like the best are the ones that help set up the KPIs, help set up the team to learn to do it themselves. And there's plenty of people like that, and I'll be glad to recommend them to you. Help you build your brand, things like that. They're there to help you lay the foundation so that you can take it and run with it. So yeah, that's social media. So, I totally recommend it. I always kind of blown away when I see dentists that have like no social media, or don't post regularly. I'm like, why? It makes no sense, but yet they're doing direct mail. For me, that's like, what? This is like so 20 years ago. You're wasting so much money. Unless your demographic is people over age 60 who actually look at snail mail. It's not, I'm not saying I wouldn't want those patients. They got plenty of money, they show up, but you need to keep your diversity in your practice. You need to have all ages, kids, younger people, older people, and everyone's different. Obviously, older people are more established. They're more likely to show up to all their appointments and pay their bills, right? That's nice. There's nothing wrong with having that demographic, but it's just so great to have kids and younger professionals in your practice. And you're going to have social media, up, running, and amazing in order to attract these type of patients. So, all right. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm always happy to take a look at your social media channel and give you feedback. Like I said, I'm not a professional by any means, but I know a fair amount about it. So if you got questions, as always, I welcome every dentist to schedule a call with me, as long as it's not about a particular patient, just talking. You can ask ortho questions as long as it's not referring to a patient. Glad, there's a link on my website to schedule a call. I had someone call me today who was absolutely super nice, and she just had questions on, how to, if you change jobs and you have ortho patients, well, what do you do with those patients? What would you do? And we had a really awesome conversation about it. And, people say, oh, I don't want to waste your time, but to be honest, these conversations is how I think of ideas to make content. So it gives me ideas, it gives me inspiration, it lets me know what you guys need to know and what I'm missing and how I can help my existing clients. So would love to work with you. All right, thanks so much.